Wednesday, October 25th, 2022. Keeping an eye on the board, the TV, in this northern hemisphere. And I'm working at local telephone. They in this year that I'm in right now, which is 2022, only access to a phone is something called a mobile. The locals, they call it mobile. It's a mobile phone. They did away, for some reason, with local, regional, and long distance telephone on a bill, on one bill, 3. I don't know why. I'm suspecting it's a problem bigger than anyone is communicating with the international call plan. I'm frightened for myself, frightened for my children. So I'm paying attention to what's going on now. Today I had an unexpected trip into Brooklyn, a place I stay in County Queens, unless I don't go looking for trouble. I did notice somebody on the holiday schedule or on the whatever schedule put on my alert system this morning on the news. Or maybe it was one of the past few days. It was short-term memory. They put up a different type of whatever in like that 70s show. Brady Bunch. And I mean, I'm 78. There's an English muffin that goes with the year 77 or so it says on his profile. But when I was driving to Brooklyn in local stuff, the Hoda and Jenna TV show, I think, was saying the English muffin was one thing, and it so clearly in my local field is labeled as something else. A discrepancy between land and sea, perhaps. I don't know. But I saw it on my way today. So like it's in the zone, it's in the island, on the island I'm on, and it's just like I also was walking my streets today, and the gas was on, or there was this smell and it was really bad. Like I actually put my hand up, it just hit me in the face, and I'm having trouble with balance at the moment. Natural balance, trying to stand on 2 feet and not lose equilibrium. Something over the last few days has shifted. I don't know what. I don't know where to go. They keep giving me the runaround as far as doctors go, and no real clear answers or no real clear direction. So I'm watching the news. They just put the emperor penguin on the endangered species list. That's huge. Something to do with the shrinking ice. I know that that's a one level, perhaps a proposition level of natural science and polymathematics. I'm not quite sure. And then there's this, they're having some kind of election for governor, supposedly in the next couple of days, on a local level. They said last night on the news that they were going to be debating. I went to go try to find it. I'm on a Verizon but they only aired it on a Spectrum, which, even though I'm in New York City, I don't have Spectrum. So I don't have NY1. For Long Island, that's the equivalent of News 12. I don't have that either. So, and I have no idea how the streaming stuff works. This is like New Kid stuff and New Kids on the Block. And I don't have my teenage kids with me. They're being housed elsewhere. Um, so I don't know what to do. So I didn't see it. I was looking for references. I'm like, all right, somebody's going to put the most important part. So one of the candidates was at a gas station, gas, Gas, in Glendale. Glenway was listening. Actually listening this way. So I'm watching and I'm listening to what he says. They reference it as gubernatorial. I know there's got to be some kind of like, because they don't always say that word. So it's something really important, but I'm not quite sure what. I don't know if that's a directional, a signal. Between the two candidates, again, there's a field day, a cheerleading squad, and a diploma. I'm watching it from a lens of, okay, now where are we? I heard Governor Kathy Hochul say whatever it was that she said. I then heard Zeldin say whatever he's saying. I couldn't hear the debate really, except for the synopsis, which I'll reference for my records, as like, I have to imagine that these political conversations that have been going on in a kind of sort of, but not really, whatever, they just want a ball that they can sink their teeth in and run with. But at the moment, I don't know what the bigger schematic is, but there's some frightening realizations I'm having looking around and spotting some very significant changes. On the Channel 7 tonight, The Eyewitness, they are also having this, not a rally, they call it a town hall. It's a town hall event with Channel 7, The Eyewitness News. I think it's on the Hofstra campus. It's not at LIU, it's at Hofstra. I went to both, again, for different reasons. I have a very large career of educational institutions in this place. So, and they have very specific anchor points of reality for a very specific prowess, of importance. So, I don't know if that's that prima donna reference. Like, again, I worry because, I mean, like, I find it such a compliment, kind of sort of in a like, who's asking? And like, ay. So there's this, and then that goes back to like the Madonna, but again, it's are the French and the Spanish fighting? Because then I really don't know how to run for the hills. I really, and duck for cover. So I'm watching and they make this reference. I'm gonna go back because, again, it was really weird. It's at this pace. Well, there's this town hall about Superstorm Sandy. They're going through the logistics on Long Island, rallying together. Now, New York City had a traumatic event called 9/11. Long Island went through, whoever did not participate or was not at ground zero, they have a different rally point of Superstorm Sandy, especially if they were not Midland. If they were on the South Shore, got hit worse than the North Shore, but some of the North Shore towns got affected as well. So their rally point and their introduction, I suppose, to FEMA really came through Superstorm Sandy, which was 10 years ago. So they're congregating on the campus. I was not able to make it. I was sideswiped today. I didn't, first of all, I didn't know it was gonna, there was no personal invitation. So, even though I believe I happen to know a very special weatherman who's different than the weatherman at Special Task Force Mark, this was a different, very special weatherman. Um, some years ago, Campania compiled a whole whatever that was requested by the 1976 attorney. I don't know why. I didn't know why then. I thought it absolutely over the top and ridiculous, but of course I was totally compliant. I mean, Tom was asking me, so um and forthcoming in the records to be held in my side of the whatever, not to be whatever, whatever, whatever. And I don't know what the heck they were really up to in some kind of phishing scheme through the law department of my office was right next, or my lawyer's office was next to the IRS. So at GRE, on the OGRE, and the DIS, and the, I don't know, is it NKH? Nikki, I mean, like, which way are we going with this? Or is it KHN? I don't know which letters to put first in like a Celtic combination of three letters that were intertwined on the white robe. I don't know where to begin, where to end, and I don't think I really have to put them in any particular order. It's just the fact that the three letters were present. They were bestowed upon me, and those were my new letters. Private meeting. Got it. Um, Same Hofstra campus, by the way, that they're holding the Superstorm Sandy thing. So they're going through they're coming to terms with it, their grievance, they're grieving of their losses, their rebuild, their however they handle it in people handle trauma, and then locally they handle it however they handle it. I thought that they were doing a good job. I was watching just a little small segment of it and their work through process. Um, so that's me keeping an eye on what are they trying to alert me of that's going on in whatever, whatever, whatever. Um, but interestingly enough, on this elections thing and keeping people in the loop, out of the loop, how's it working in this local area? They had a televised debate between the two governor at a gubernatorial governor race, which is coming up, and they aired it on Spectrum, which I don't get. So I have no idea of watching what's on, what's being talked about, how what are the contributing factors. There were no surveys, there were no polls done, like nobody calls me directly. I have this small window of opportunity on the wall that looks like multiple conversations going on at the same time, and through my field experience and the real life storyline that I was given and placement, I'm trying to see which pieces go where. Um, Especially with whatever's going on in this loss of equilibrium. As I walk now, I'm noticing that the equilibrium is off, and I don't know if it's what's in the air around here on my natural footpath, trying to stay on Main Street or Bell Boulevard, trying to stay on the camera system, so I'm like clocked in at not just like the sun deck and the aerial level of the night sky, but actually like a local supervisory level, so they know where I am and that I'm still here. I mean, I'm going out for my exercise so I don't get accused of whatever and whatever they do. And I have no idea. So this is, they're in Glendale. Again, that has a twofold importance for me. Can you turn that back on? Thank you. So this was the 12 o'clock news on Channel 7.
Weeks to go before Election Day, with early voting starting this weekend. And in their one
and I should mention, I didn't realize that they had a TV spokesperson with the last name Torres, because that was a different introduction that was made through the blacksmith problem of whatever that was to signify. Also was present around the time of the sting operation where I went down and Teofrio disappeared. And whoever was present on the field for that special operation of, I don't know, I was out cold.
Last night, Governor Hochul and a Republican opponent, Congressman Lee Zeldin, faced off on crime, abortion rights, the migrant crisis, and Donald Trump. Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller with the story.
Well, can a pro-Trump Republican really win the governor's race in New York? Well, some recent polls suggest maybe so, and last night Lee Zeldin came out swinging.
You're poorer and less safe because of Kathy Hochul and extreme policies.
Well, nice to see you too as well, Lee. It's looking forward to this conversation.
Governor Hochul did her best to steer that conversation toward Zeldin's.
I got a real simple one. This is a yes or no. We'll move right on. Is Donald Trump a great president?
I worked closely with him on a
yes
number
or no.
of important
Yes
policies.
or no.
You ask a question about pay-to-play corruption plaguing her campaign. She wants to talk about the former president.
Hochul also said abortion's on the ballot.
Someone who said he'd bring on a pro-life health commissioner. You know how much power that person has over decisions on regulations? They could literally use their power to shut down clinics.
When we woke up the day after the Dobbs decision, the law in New York was exactly the same as it was the day before. And I'm not going to change that.
For his part, Zeldin hammered Hochul on the rising rates of violent crime.
Kathy Hochul's too busy patting herself on the back. Job well done. No, actually, right now there should be a special session.
Now, it says right here, it's Pace University, and it says Spectrum NY1. There's only one person that I have ever met that said he was going to Pace University, and whoever it was, in whatever generation it was, he knows who he was. But he was the only person I ever met that said that they were going to Pace. I really had never heard of the university. I know they had, when I was doing research for a degree program I was thinking of going into, the name popped up as one of the potential local vicinity. But again, it was just field work I was doing. I never actually went to the campus, but whoever it is, he knows who he was.
State legislature should come back and they should overhaul cashless bail and these other pro-criminal laws with zero tolerance.
We did make those changes to our bail laws so we can have repeat offenders and people with gun offenses treated as they were under the previous law. That got done because I made it get done. But also, we have to talk about getting guns out of the hands of young people, background checks, and people who are severely mentally ill.
And that hour-long debate is the only time these candidates will share the stage before Election Day. Early voting actually starts this Saturday. In Lower Manhattan, I'm Derek Waller, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
And as I said, the election now less than 2 weeks away. We'll have the results in the governor's race and all the other big races on election night, November 8th, right here on Eyewitness News at 11 and throughout the night in ABC 7NY.
We are reflecting this week on the resiliency of the tri-state as we prepare to mark 10 years since Superstorm Sandy left major devastation behind.
Now, that was the 12 o'clock news. At the 4 o'clock news, they actually traveled with Zeldin live to Glendale. Kathy Hochul, wherever she went, which I don't know, it was an undisclosed location, she had some security concerns and left with her convoy.
There is less than 2 weeks to go before Election Day, and early voting starts this weekend. Still too early to tell if last night's debate will move the numbers, but recent polls suggest it could. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres live in downtown Brooklyn with the latest. Joe.
David, yeah, early voting starts on Saturday. That's 3 days from now. Election Day, 13 days away. Governor Hochul with a campaign stop in Brooklyn. Representative Lee Zeldin with a campaign stop in Queens today. And the underlying message from both candidates is this: I need your vote to win. Hugs, hellos, and handshakes. Less than 24 hours after Tuesday night's gubernatorial debate, Governor Kathy Hochul visited a senior center in Brooklyn. The Democratic incumbent did not shy away from the hot topic issue that's allowed her opponent to narrow the gap in the latest election day polls: crime and
Keeping you safe. When you walk down the streets, you take the subway, anywhere you go, you have the right to be safe in our communities.
Republican Lee Zeldin stuck to his political "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" strategy. The Long Island congressman brought his campaign to a gas station in Glendale, Queens. He joined a group of business owners to highlight the surge in commercial robberies.
So, thought that was really important. Commercial robberies. He's in Glendale, and he's at a gas station. Just saying, for the large area distilleries that have some chemical component, it's a concern of mine. Just what's fumigating where they're gassing up, and where they're being paid to drive through. I mean, there's sometimes the fumes are so bad as I walk, and there's varying scent levels in the chemical composition for which I'm not trained to discern, but I'm starting to lose my physical balance being bombarded by so many different clouds of chemicals, and so obvious. Today I was driving, here's another side note just for that 70s show, and the discrepancy between the land and the sea voice that they used as references for a Brady Bunch, whatever. So in an English, what I thought was an English channel or English language. So on with the flag that I showed on my side of the pond. So I'm driving, well, Linda's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm very cognizant of there's a Pearl Street, there's a J Street, there's a Sandy Street, and trying to get out of wherever we were. And there was a Provost. I mean, I call it Provost, but Prevost in a preposterous method. And on it, it said Hampton's ambassador. And I was like, whoa, I have to look that message up. I have to decrypt that, because and of course I only have the Hamptons out in the South Fork. I'm on Long Island. I don't know where else in the world it is. I'm pretty sure that was one of the places I was taken. I remember something about an ambulance. That was over a summer. And then no memory, woke up like as if nothing happened, and everybody was really weird about it. And I have no idea what it was about at all. But everybody goes real stiff-lipped and silent. And I know something happened. I know there was an ambulance. I know that I have vague memories of it. And then I have these weird meetings, and one of my keys to my car goes disappearing in some other kind of special operation. And that was, Mark was there, but Father of Time and the Weatherman was there on my behalf at one part. And then there was someone that I kept referring to as Mark, because he was one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. And he said to call him Mark, and then he started laughing about it after whatever. I didn't get the joke, but I was like, I'm okay.
On day one, right after I'm sworn into office, I will declare a crime emergency here in the state of New York, and I will suspend Castle's panel and other pro-criminal laws.
Neither candidate addressed their performance in last night's debate, the only opportunity for voters to see and hear them address the issues face to face. With only 13 days to go before many voters cast their ballots, the two political rivals said nothing today they haven't said before. Nonetheless, the quest to lock up undecided voters grows more critical with each passing day.
I need your vote. It's muy importante, and I look forward to a big win on election day, and I'll know it's because it started in places like this all over the state.
Republicans, Democrats, and independents need to look at this opportunity less than 2 weeks away as their opportunity as New Yorkers to save New York City and save New York State.
Now, very interesting what we saw today on the campaign.
I thought that was really powerful, and I don't really know platforms. I don't have access to agenda. I don't have access to platforms, but just listening to his front prowess and what he was saying was really interesting, looking at it from an independent viewpoint of just face value. I mean, I only have access to face value. What comes out of their faces is the only thing that I have to base anything off of. And if you notice on the evening news, like, there's really nothing that's coming out, which is part of my confusion in all of this for so long. Not because of, like, it's just been... It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. They also mention on several of the news this evening, they were mentioning, and there it goes again. It's like the thought just evaporates. I'm going to have to pause this for a second. Here, this is at 5:45, so 5 o'clock news. They mentioned this about the emperor penguin on the endangered species list.
You know, I hate to say it, but penguins, they're in trouble. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service just designated Antarctica's emperor penguins as an endangered species. It says climate change will likely put them at risk of extinction. Rising temperatures melt sea ice, which penguins rely on to build their colonies. An endangered status gives penguins certain protections and promotes international cooperation for conservation strategies. The Endangered Species Act is credited with bringing grizzly bears and bald eagles back from the brink of extinction.
Wow. Do you remember that movie, The March of the Penguins, and how incredible their lives are and what they do to survive? Oh, look at that. It's just, now
Thank goodness we have those protections. Hopefully some
hopefully we put them to work. That's
greater cooperation.
So,